Welcome to True North Perspective. My name is Sean. Boy, do we have a very explosive show for you today. We'll be covering traveling to the U.S. We'll be covering the critical update on Gaza, as well as what is happening currently in Iran with the nuclear program. But before we do get started, I do want to wish all my Canadian viewers, my friends and family, a very happy Canada Day. I hope you're certainly enjoying the day. And also, before we do get started, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We're at approximately 1,570 subscribers. Let's try and get to 2,000. Your support, your love, inspires me and instills confidence in me. So don't forget to, again, like, share, and subscribe. Let's get right into the content. The first thing we're going to be covering today is traveling to the U.S. Are you planning to travel to the U.S.? Because if you are, I would definitely watch this video before going. It has become very difficult to travel to the United States, even if you're a Canadian citizen, if you're a British citizen, if you're Norwegian. There have been some horror stories that have been coming out, and I thought that I'd just show you some of the outcomes and some of the stories that have been, happening in the States. Honestly, in my opinion, if you are planning to go on vacation, keep it local, stay within Canada, invest in Canada, help us grow our economy. It is definitely not worth going to the United States of America. Personally, as a Canadian, I am very, very upset and irate at Donald Trump. His behavior, his petulance, he behaves like a toddler. He has to have his way. And the fact that he constantly talks about annexing Canada really does irritate me. After all, we are a sovereign nation, we are an independent nation, and we're one heck of a country. And I'm sure most Canadians will agree with me. So having said that, let's get on to the content. The first story that I'm going to share with you today is of this Norwegian young fella that traveled to the United States and was actually denied entry because he had a meme of JD Vance. So let's cover this story very quickly. It's from June the 25th. Norwegian tourist claims U.S. denied him entry over a JD Vance meme. Authorities said it was his drug use. Now, initially, there was no mention of drug use at all. He entered the country. They asked him for his password to his social media. In fact, if you look on X and if you fact check it, you will see that you are now required to provide your social media password, and it must be set on public because they do want to see what you've got going on. It becomes difficult. And really, whatever happened to freedom of speech, right? So what if you have a meme, showing that you dislike Donald Trump? Like, what's a big deal? I'm sure a lot of Americans have memes that show, that they don't like Carney. Are we supposed to stop them from entering Canada? No, it's ludicrous. But anyways, let's quickly look at the article. I'm not going to read you the whole thing because there's a few stories that I do want to show you. Let's take a look at this one here. 2 pictures spoiled Mads' dream vacation. Read a headline from Norwegian newspapers Nordlys on Monday, which was amplified by British tabloid The Daily Mail on Tuesday. Mads Mikkelsen, not the Danish actor, but a 21-year-old tourist from Norway, told his hometown outlet that he was denied entry to the U.S. at Newark Liberty International Airport on June 11th after handing over his phone to immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, officials who came across a meme of U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. And I will show you what that meme looks like. You can have a good laugh. Mikkelsen claimed the officials threatened him with a $5,000 fine or 5 years in prison if he refused to give the password to his mobile device and that. And after he relented and he was scrutinized, he was sent back to Norway. Mind you, what's not noted in here was he was kept, in custody for 5 years before 5 hours before he was let go. On social media, anti-Trump influencers, including former Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger and resistance movement activist Brian Krasenstein, among others, shared reports of the denial of entry and encouraged the spreading of more Vance memes, which became popular. After President Donald Trump's explosive meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky in the Oval Office in February, when Vance demanded the Ukrainian president say thank you to Trump. And this was the meme. I'll let it stay up here for a little while so you guys can feast your eyes on that. That was a meme that actually denied Mika from actually getting into the United States of America. This is what's going on in the States, guys. The question is, do you really want to make your life difficult, by crossing the borders and trying to get in? And if they find one meme that they do not like, they will turn you right around. Again, I suggest if you can, visit Canada. Canada has some really beautiful places. You've got Banff, you've got Mont Tremblant in Quebec, you have, Vancouver Island, you have Ontario has beautiful places, Tobermory, Canada's Wonderland. It may be a tad bit expensive, but you're putting back right into Canada's economy, so please do it. We have to come together as Canadians, and we have to stop supporting the United States of America. Obviously, they are not the ally they used to be. I am a proud Canadian, and, in my house right now, all groceries are made in Canada. We don't buy anything that is American. In fact, we were looking to purchase a car, and we're going to be, looking to buy a car that is completely or mostly manufactured in Canada. It is difficult to find, but we're sticking to that. We are patriots. We love Canada. And what Donald Trump is doing right now is absolutely incorrect. It is ludicrous. It is childish. He has absolutely humiliated himself for one thing, and he's destroyed an alliance with one of his strongest allies. We are his biggest importers, and if you go ahead and fact check what I'm telling you right now, but if you go ahead and check, you will notice that we are in a surplus with him right now. In fact, they owe us. And GDP, as we all know, if you know even a tiny bit of economics, you will know that a GDP cannot, the deficit in GDP cannot be made up by tariffs. That's a fact. Anyways, let's keep going on. And he says here, and quote, he says, these are the same people who blamed Europe for a lack of free speech, disinformation. Research Pekka Kaljaniemi posted on X about the Trump administration in relation to the story. Tricia McLaughlin, a spokesperson from the Department of Homeland Security, which oversees ICE and Customs and Border Protection, CBP, called the claims of Mickelson's denied entry over the events being false and BS. Again, initially there was no mention of drug use, and if they found drugs on him, why would they just send him back? Why would they not arrest him, right? He should be facing some sort of prosecution. It only makes sense, right? If you were to get caught with drugs in another country, they have their laws, they have their, ways. So this, to me, is complete BS. CB said in a post on X that Mads Mikkelsen was not denied entry for any memes or political reasons. It was for admitting drug use. Again, that still doesn't make sense. If somebody tells you they're using marijuana or whatever it is, you're bound to do a drug test and see if they're carrying anything in. If they're not, you let them go. Anyways, so that's one of the stories. I'm not going to read you the full article. You can definitely check out Time and, take a look at this article. It is quite shameful. The other ones that I want to show you that are a bit more important, they actually involve Canadians. And so let's take a look. There's one that I really wanted to show you guys here, and let's take a look here. Right now here, and I will do a separate video on this, approximately 55 Canadians have been detained by ICE, minister says. Okay, and down here, if you look, it says Minister of Foreign Affairs Anita Anand speaks to reporters in The Hague, Netherlands on Tuesday, June 24th, 2025, the Canadian press. Okay, approximately 55 Canadians have been detained by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand told CTV News on Friday. And I will also, like I said, be basically showing you or doing a separate video on this. Now, the last story that I want to do show you that, hopefully convince you to stay away from the United States is one of our own service members, a firefighter, was traveling to the States to compete in an event, and he was turned around, and we still don't know what the full details are, but let me show you this story here. And again, you feel free to go down to read Vancouver Sun and take a look. And as you can see here, a BC firefighter says he was denied entry to US, good enough to fight their wars but not good enough to cross their borders. I've always felt a strong bond with the United States, said Jamie Flynn, who once served under the US military command. He said the denial was deeply upsetting. A BC firefighter says he was denied entry to the United States, where he was going to take part in a competition for first responders from different countries around the world. Jamie Flynn posted on social media on Thursday to detail what happened to him when he was en route to Birmingham, Alabama. He was supposed to represent Vancouver firefighters in the Jiu-Jitsu category at the World Police and Fire Games. Flynn, who is a British citizen, described the games as an international event uniting frontline responders through sport in a post on Instagram. Being denied entry to the United States is deeply upsetting, he told National Post in an email statement on Friday. I lost my flights, my time, and my opportunity to compete at the World Police and Fire Games in Alabama, and I have trained extensively, an event I trained extensively for. And there is his article. I'll read you that because it is very important. I was just denied a visa to the U.S. Please share this post. This needs to be seen. Today, I was meant to fly to Birmingham, Alabama to represent at Vancouver firefighters, Van Fire Rescue, and compete in Jiu-Jitsu at the World Police and Fire Games, an international event uniting frontline responders through sport. Instead, I was denied entry to U.S., no reason given, no appeal, no answers. I'm a British citizen living in Canada. I fought for the United States wearing their uniform on a special forces operations in Iraq and Afghanistan. I'm a Canadian fighter, a search and rescue volunteer, and I have no criminal record. I've trained for months. I've done everything right, and I still am grounded. Sidelined not by injury or lack of effort, but by bureaucracy and silence. No one at the U.S. border or U.S. consulate or the ESTA program can explain why. This feels like a clerical error, but it cost me thousands of dollars, and for what? I'm gutted, I'm angry, and I want answers. If you believe this is wrong, share the post. We are good enough to fight their wars, but not good enough to cross their borders. And that is a very strong statement. My Canadian friends, my Canadian family, please, I urge you to stay away from the United States of America. Invest your money in Canada. Help us build our economy. We need to show the Americans, and when I say Americans, I mean Donald Trump and his administration, that we don't need them, that we can survive without them. I've been podcasting for a month or so, and I take a lot of slack from MAGA supporters about my weight, about about me being Canadian and being a naturalized Canadian, and they constantly brag that Canada needs United States, and we're a small pea in the pod, and that's not the case. We are Canadians. Okay, we are the home of maple syrup. We are kind, we are generous, we are nice, we wear our hearts on our sleeves, and I can tell you with the most confidence that we do not need the United States of America. We do not need Donald Trump and his administration. We need us. So once again, I close the video by urging all of you guys that if you're traveling to the United States of America, cancel your tickets, cancel your plans, invest in Canada, go somewhere else. If you don't want to stay in Canada, go to Mexico, right? Go to Finland, go to UK, go somewhere else, but do not go to the United States of America, because there's a good chance that your freedom of speech will be denied, that you will be denied entry. And I hate to see my own Canadian friends and family getting hurt. Do not go there. And if you've met Donald Trump, you happen to watch this video or somebody shows it to you, my name is Sean Oaskalfan, and I live in Canada, in Toronto. I am Canadian, and as God is my witness, I will never, ever enter the United States of America until you are either dead or you're gone. Thank you for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.